I'd like to welcome you to another edition of What's Up, and on this series, we're going to be talking a little bit about electricity. And boy, ever since I've been a little boy, I've been really fascinated with electricity. I've made all kind of things out of that use electricity. I've even made a Tesla coil that shot out several million volts of electricity. But it's a real fascinating thing, to see all the wonderful things in our lives that work on electricity. Like the TV set that you're watching right now is operated by electricity. The lights in your house, the telephone, the computers, even our bodies. There's electricity running through our bodies that make our hearts beat and that help us think and all kind of things like that. We use electricity in our cars that fly airplanes. And there's a lot of fascinating people out in our neighborhood that deal with electricity. They work for power companies. They work in factories, and they make things that use electricity. But electricity is a fascinating thing, and some of the top scientists still can't figure out what that substance electricity is. So we know it's some form of energy, and we call it electrical energy. But a lot of us really do not know the basic concepts of electricity or about an electric circuit. And doggone it, if we knew some things about electricity, maybe we could really appreciate it a little bit more. I know I'd like to know a whole lot more about electricity so that I could do good on that Stanford 9 exam that's coming up. So I want you to sit back, take out a sheet of paper, and take a few notes. And I know there's a lot of experts out there, but bear with us. For us people that can't even put flashlight batteries in a flashlight, just bear with us, because we're going to learn a little bit about electricity. All right. Well, the first thing that we need to identify are some of the parts that we're going to be working with today. Now, I've got something right here, and this looks like something that stores electrical energy, and they call that a battery. You might see that inside your car or something like that. It helps start your car, or you might see these things inside of a flashlight. Now, the one inside your car is really big, but you usually see something like this inside of your toys or something like that. And if you look on the top of that battery, you're going to see a plus sign. And it looks just like this thing right here. Well, that's the positive end of the battery. And there's a little nipple type thing like this right here. And at the bottom of the battery, you'll probably see a little minus sign right there. And that's the negative side of the battery. So I want you to take a look at your batteries, and you'll always see a positive side of the battery and a negative side of the battery. Even if they have two of these nipple things up on the top, there will always be one that is stamped with a positive side and a negative side. And if it's circular, you'll see that there's probably a positive side and a negative side on the round type of battery. Now, to transport the electrical energy to other apparatus, you're going to have something like this right here. Now, this right here is called a wire, and the wire is a metallic substance. And what you do is you connect these wires right onto that battery, and the electricity actually comes out of the battery and travels in this metallic conduit here called a wire. And you see wires up on telephone poles. You can see wires in electric motors. There's wires all over the place. Well, this electricity that's stored in this battery will actually come out and go into this wire and do fascinating things. Now we have something down here. This thing is called a switch. The switch is like a gatekeeper. There's an on position or a closed position and an open position. It's like a bridge. Okay, the electricity will come up underneath here on one side of the switch, and if this thing is closed, it'll go right through the switch and out the other side. But you know what? If the switch was open, like this one here, if the electricity tried to come up in here and go down the switch, well, look right here. There's this big air gap right here. And now the electricity can't get from here to here. So this switch would be open. So this switch here is closed and this switch is open. So they say that's a closed switch and that's an open switch. And we're going to see a whole lot more of that in today's little discussion about electricity. Now the last thing we got that we're going to be looking at in our little electrical circuit here is a light bulb. Now this part here is usually glass, and I know everybody's seen one of these things here. It's got like a glass bulb, and then there's got some kind of little wires on the inside. You go ahead and take a look at one of those things. It's got some little springy, real thin little wire there. I guess they call that a filament or something like that. I guess it gets real hot inside there, and there must be some kind of gas or something inside there that gets real hot, and then it gets real bright, and that's where we get the light from. And I guess that's some real strong material, something that can take up a lot of heat, probably tungsten or something like that. I don't know, but I know it can take up a lot of heat, and it can get really hot, almost white hot in there. And on the bottom of the light, we've got two connections right there. I guess those two connections, one is for the positive side, like this over here, and one is for the negative side of the battery. Oh, okay. So when we connect something to an electrical device, it's going to have two parts of it. It's going to have a positive or negative side. Now, sometimes we see a light bulb that only has one of these things at the bottom. Well, that could be just a negative there, or it could be the positive right down there. And actually, this whole thing right here would be the other part where you connect it to. But for today's model, we're going to show you the two parts right there. So we'll say one is positive, one is negative connection right there. All right, so now that we've got our components, let's go ahead and look at a simple electric circuit. Well, look at this. We got the battery right here connected, okay, connected to the wire, and this right here is the light. Okay, we notice that the light is off right now. And why is it off? Can you tell me why it's off? Oh, you're right. The reason that it's off because the switch is open. The electricity cannot flow through this switch because the switch is open right there. You see that right there? This part right here is open. So if we was to take and close this switch, do you think that light bulb would turn on? How many people out there would think that the light bulb would turn on if we was to close the switch? Raise your hand. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close that switch and see what happens. Here we go. You ready? Okay, on count of 3. 1, 2, 3, close. Hey, look at that. Did you see that? Did you see that? We closed the switch. We closed the switch right here. And the minute we closed it, guess what happened? The electricity was able to flow out of the battery through the wire and into the light and turn the light on. I guess this light is doing some work, or it's what they might say, it's a load or something on the circuit. It's actually on, and it can stay on because that switch is closed now. You see that? The switch is closed, so electricity can go through here, through the battery. Look at that. Through the light, turn the light on, and it come back into the battery, back through the battery up there. Look at that electricity keeping that light on. Now, the minute I turn the switch off or open it up, look what happens. There's no more flow of current, so the light can't be on. Let me turn it back on. On, off. Look at that. On, off. One more time. On, off. All right. Hey, does everybody understand that now? So now we have a battery right here, and we got the wire connected onto the light, and we have a switch, and when we close the switch, the electricity is what? You're right. The electricity is on and the light is on. All right. Well, this is a real simple diagram. Let's go ahead and look at something that looks a little bit more real now, okay? All right, look at this. Now we got something that really looks kind of real. Now we got our battery right here, the positive and the negative side. And now we're going to go ahead and connect that wire, and we're going to connect it to one side of the switch. Okay, and on the other side of the switch, we're going to connect it to one side of the light bulb. Okay, and then on the other side of the light bulb, we're going to take the wire and go all the way back up to the negative side of the battery. All right, so we got everything connected right. So if we got everything connected right, the electrons will flow out of the battery and it'll go through the switch. And when we close the switch now, it should go up into the light, and then it should make this filament right here get real hot. That'll turn the light on, come back down here, right through that wire, and go right back up through the negative side of that battery. Well, you ready? Okay, how many people are ready for me to close that switch? Okay, are you ready? Here I go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, close. Hey, look at that. Look at that. We closed the switch and the light bulb turned on. Isn't that amazing? Look how bright that light is. Wow, we got a lot of electricity flowing right out of that battery. It's coming out of that battery and it's going right through that switch because the switch is closed now, and it's lighting up the light bulb, and everything looks real good. So if we see this on the Stanford 9 test or something like that, we would know that if the switch is like that, we know that the light bulb is not going to turn on. But if the switch is like this, we know that the light is on. All right, we're getting pretty smart here. All right, you ready for a little bit more? Okay, let's go. Okay, so now let's see what's going to happen here. Okay, remember we have to have everything all connected now. Got to have all the wires connected. Now, I want you are the electrician now, and you're going to tell me, when I close this switch, will that light bulb turn on? Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to inspect the circuit. Make sure that everything is connected now. I want you to make sure. Is the wire connected to the switch? Okay, we got a wire connected to the switch. Okay, is there a wire connected to the to the light bulb? Okay, there's a wire connected to the light bulb. All right. How many people think that the light bulb is going to turn on? Now, remember, you got to inspect your circuit. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and close the switch. How many people think the light bulb is going to turn on? Raise your hand. How many people think the light bulb's not going to turn on? Raise your hand. Okay, keep your hand going here. I'm going to close the switch. 1, 2, 3, close. Uh-oh. What happened here? Let me open that switch again. 1, 2, 3, close. Uh-oh. What's going on? How come the light bulb's not coming on? Let me open this up. Let me close this again. What's going on? I opened it. I closed it. I opened it. I closed it. Is there something wrong here? Did somebody see something wrong with this circuit? Oh, look. We've got a wire missing right here. There's a wire missing here. So whenever we connect something in the circuit, whatever we're connecting, there has to be a wire on both sides. We got a wire missing right there. That's why that one doesn't work. How many people caught that one? All right. Now we're going to go look at another